Hey there, kiddos, and welcome back to the channel. I'm Uncle Frank, and that you are having a great day. And in today's video, I'm going to be sitting back in my kind of squeaky chair, relaxing and having a little conversation with all of you guys about opportunities and understanding yourself and the value of finding your own niche. You see, the market in general is very broad, the market, but also the TCG market within that wider market is by itself very broad. There are dozens of different trading card games. For each of those card games, there are different sellers and vendors and traders, etc., all competing at the same time for the same limited pool of cash that the customers bring to the table. And as somebody who buys and sells in that space, you have to be cognizant of what sets you apart from your competition. What products or services do you provide that helps you stand out in the crowd? Maybe it's your fame, maybe it's the sheer quality of your service, maybe it's because you provide an item that nobody else really seems to have. And, you know, understanding your strengths as a seller will help you go a very long way towards maybe not beating out everybody else, but giving yourself the leg up you might need in order to stick around in the industry for the long haul. I'm going to give you two examples that apply to myself personally. There are two things that I think I do fairly decently. Not amazing, not world class, not better than everybody else, but good enough to keep me going. One of them is I fucking love bulk. Okay? There are loads of YouTube channels with different opinions on bulk, whether it's worth it, whether it's valuable, whether you should even bother, etc. Some are totally for it, some are totally against it. In case it's not apparent, I am very much on team bulk. I love buying it, I love sorting it, and I love selling it. And the fact that I am able to sit down for potentially very many hours on end, sifting through bulk, sorting bulk, and adding it to my inventory does give me an opportunity that some other sellers don't, and that is just the sheer breadth of what I can have on my inventory at any one time. A lot of different games with a lot of different cards for those games. I'm not limited to a handful of very expensive, super rare cards. Sure, there's a lot more money in those very rare, super expensive cards, but I think there's a lot more opportunity in bulk. And so it allows me to have a quite wide inventory, which I'm very happy to have. Another thing that sets me apart from a lot of sellers, not all the sellers, is the kinds of products I put up on TCG Player. One of which is a card game that most other sellers don't even seem to want to deal with. Let me tell you guys about one of my best-selling card games, and that is the Force of Will TCG. It is, especially in the last 2 years, I think, been my most consistently best-selling card game that I have on offer on TCG Player. And this is for two reasons. One, while Force of Will is not nearly as popular as it was 10 years ago, it is still a game that has a lot of fans behind it. A lot of people who want to update their collections or build new decks or whatever, and when those people go out and buy new cards, they don't buy one card. In my experience, Force of Will players tend to buy the entire deck all at one go. Crazy stuff. And two, while this is still a game that is very collectible and very fun to play, it's not nearly as profitable as it used to be. It's not nearly as popular as it used to be. And so a lot of other stores shy away from it. Either they sell very little of it online or they ignore it entirely, like a lot of other niche TCGs, a lot of other smaller card games. But in my opinion, Force of Will has a very strong position as like probably the best performing indie TCG on my store, I think. It definitely outperforms Flesh and Blood, and I like Flesh and Blood. I play Flesh and Blood. I love that game. Just got this grading thing back. I collect Flesh and Blood. I like this game a lot. I don't play Force of Will. I have a Force of Will deck, but I don't play it. And so I'm obviously the kind of person who'd be very surprised to find out that Force of Will is consistently a great performer. But part of the reason it's performing so well for me is just because I have a lot of it, whereas other vendors online just don't even offer it at all. And so when those people who are looking to buy entire decks go online, I'm one of the vendors they see. And I don't have a huge inventory. I think my current TCG player inventory is around 230,000 cards as of the recording of this video. I want to say, at a glance, Force of Will is maybe 70 to 80,000 cards, but it's mostly right now older sets. I've got things like the Vingolf sets, the Twilight Wanderer, the Moonlit Savior, Battle for Ataraxia, Seven Kings of the Land. I don't recognize CST. I forget what that set is. All the Endless Origin sets, those are fun. You know, I have a lot of Force of Will stuff, and a lot of other stores online just don't. Because in their mind, it's not worth it. And that's totally fine. For me, it is worth it. Because it is still a very fun game, and people are still buying. But despite that, it's a thin market, which means less competition, which means more opportunity. Not just for customers showing up and buying some stuff, but for repeat customers. They see that you're one of the few people out there who are offering something that they want. They're going to keep coming back to you. In fact, I have a handful of customers out in California who are fairly regularly buying Force of Will stuff from me. And not just a few cards per order. Like I said, these guys like to order decks. Fun stuff. But those are just examples, you know, other niche TCGs, which never really broke out into mega popularity. They have the same thing. You know, the Neopets card game has a few eBay sellers who are really like some of the most... They have some really deep inventories. These guys have to crack cases and cases. It's nuts. But like I have a buddy he really likes the Final Fantasy card game. He buys it to collect it and then sells a lot of his extra stuff online. And he does really well for that. People buy a lot of Final Fantasy cards from him because he's one of only a small group of sellers comparatively who has a lot of Final Fantasy cards in the inventory. That's a good example. And there's other sellers out there for other smaller TCGs, whatever have you. When the buyers for those card games come knocking, they're going to see these sellers who actually have the stuff they're looking for. And obviously they're going to buy it and come back for more later on. Having something other sellers don't, whether it's because they don't think it's profitable or they don't want to have it take up space in their storage area or whatever, having something that nobody else does, or very few other people do, I should say, that is a boon. It could be dead inventory. You know, absolutely there was a chance that for all the Force of Will I've purchased, it could turn out like Sorcery, where I have a 7,000 Sorcery cards in the inventory right now and they do not move. It is what it is. You know, or Star Wars, where I had to actually get rid of my Star Wars inventory for a while because it was refusing to move. You know, it could be dead inventory. You could pick up a niche game and become a super expert in it or whatever, and it'll just never go anywhere. That could happen. Or you could be one of the handful of people providing a product that people do genuinely want, that the customers are looking for. It could take a while. You know, it could take forever to sell. But recognizing opportunities and taking the risks is what... Taking the risks and actually participating in the market is, I think, part of what being a buyer and seller of card games is all about. At least I think that's part of the experience. Be aware of opportunities. Be aware of risks. But you have to go out there and participate in some way or another. And if you just want to participate with the stuff that's popular and profitable and super mega hyped up, you know, you just want to be the Pokemon guy or the One Piece guy, whatever, that's totally fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But I do also think it's irresponsible, if you want to try and maximize your profits, to not look at anything else. I'm not saying that Force of Will is the next best thing, that you should all go buy Force of Will cards because it can only go to the moon. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying because I'm one of only a handful of people comparatively who stock forcible singles, forcible does very good for me because I have a lot of it, and there's not a lot of people out there who have a lot of it. It works for me because of that reason. But because of that, I can safely say that opportunities do exist out there for you to find a niche, for you to find some TCG that not a lot of other people are stocking, and I'll try it out and see where it goes. Sooner or later, I do intend to add substantial Final Fantasy cards to my inventory, but it's just something I keep putting off, you know. Anyway, I don't want to get off track and ramble again. What I am going to say though is there's a lot of cool stuff out there, and if you don't go out and experiment and try things out and see what works, you'll never know what opportunities you might have missed. Anyway, that's all I got for you kiddos today. Please like, share, subscribe. Check out all the links in the description below. As always, thanks for watching. Leave a comment down below if you agree with me or disagree with me. Talk to you guys later. Ciao.